In 2022, the brutal invasion in Ukraine started. The British government launched a unique sponsorship scheme for Ukraine. Another name for the scheme is Homes for Ukraine. This scheme is functioning on three levels: government, county council, and city council. And today I'm happy to talk to John Tippett, Winchester City Councillor. What is the role of local people and the city council in the delivery of homes for Ukraine?
So people in Winchester district have lots of different roles within the Homes for Ukraine scheme. There are, of course, the most important people, which are the hosts. The hosts and the Homes for Ukraine scheme will accommodate and support Ukrainian refugees who have arrived in the UK. There are also people who volunteer outside of the Homes for Ukraine scheme in Winchester district, people within different organisations, charities, community organisations. And then there are, of course, people on the city council itself who help administer and deliver the scheme.
So how is the scheme functioning? I know the statistics that Winchester Council or Winchester welcomed more of Ukrainian guests than anywhere else. Or?
Certainly anywhere else in Hampshire. It's working really, really well, I think, and for three reasons. The first reason is because the hosts in Winchester City and Winchester District are amazing. They go above and beyond in all sorts of ways, supporting their Ukrainian guests. Second, because of the hard work of individuals on the city council and indeed the county council. I can tell you about the city council because I work with them, of course, and happy to answer any further questions about them as we go on. But the third reason is because of the Ukrainians themselves. The Ukrainian people who have arrived in Winchester district are magnificent. They have enriched our city and our district with culture, music, language, their skills, their talent, and their enthusiasm for our city.
So it is mutual benefit, mutually beneficial.
Absolutely. It just shows that where you have an open-hearted, kind and compassionate scheme, and you receive people in this way, even though they're from different cultures, different parts of the world, it can really create mutual benefits, as you say, Helen, to the community.
Could you tell me more about the project, about the support, about solidarity you showed with Ukrainian people?
I think that's right. I mean, I think in terms of the city council's work, there's so much that happens under the surface. So this includes things such as helping with accommodation, with that maybe furnishings, fittings, that accommodation, with different supplies and things that people need that may not have been able to bring with them from Ukraine. The city council officers provide them with all that sort of support. There's also health and mental health support that's signposted and provided by city council officers. There's a new grant scheme where Ukrainians in the Winchester district can apply for individual grants of up to £500
it's fantastic
to help
news.
them. Yeah, it is a great news.
Yes.
And also there's a certain amount of, I suppose, passion within that city council officer team.
Okay, I know that your concerns are not only adults, but children as well. Can you tell us something, what is being done for children and young adults?
So children and young adults in the district from Ukraine, of course, one of our main concerns is their well-being, the impact on them in terms of their mental health from what they've experienced. The City Council is looking to coordinate different services to make sure there is trauma support for them, and we're really grateful for the work done by organisations like the University of Winchester and indeed the County Council as well for the work they do to ensure that Ukrainian children are provided with supportive and well-placed schools in our district.
Can you tell me a couple of words about a fantastic event that took place in summer? It was the performance or a concert of Ukrainians in Theatre Royal.
I absolutely, this was a really, really proud event, Helen, and I absolutely loved it. So we had a sanctuary concert delivered by Ukrainian performers and individuals across the district at the Theatre Royal, which is one of the oldest and most famous theatres in England, in fact. And it was a showcase of the very best musical and art and dance talents of our Ukrainian community. It was a lot of money we raised for a charity that supports refugees from all different countries. So the great thing about it was Ukrainians supporting not only themselves but also other refugees from other countries, showing that the Ukrainian community also cares about this issue as much as we do in Winchester City. So it was fantastic.
Okay, and one more, the last question. I
course.
know that Winchester City Council supported Ukrainians and encouraged them to set up a cultural Ukrainian association.
Yes, this is really important. I think now the Ukrainian community we have here, as I say, they've enriched our community. They're hugely welcome and we love having them here. And we want, I think, as a city council, for them now to take the next step and really take control of what they feel they need as a community, as one thing, but also to sort of be able to do things for others in the community, as many want to do. And so this new association, we hope, will be run by and delivered by the Ukrainian community, and be something that's really independent for them to run. And we'll do all we can to support them, of course. And I will very happy to continue helping, of course. But it's yours. It's Ukrainians'
With
community
your
group.
support,
Of
you
course.
made it possible. Okay, thank you very much for this interview.
Thank you.
You've asked me my motivation behind helping Ukrainians. And I have said that it's actually threefold. The first reason behind my desire to help Ukrainians is an acute feeling of injustice and witnessing unnecessarily suffering of Ukrainian people as a result of the war that was started by Russia. So that's the first thing. The second reason behind my motivation is because I came to this country as an immigrant with a little daughter who was only 6. And I remember where I started, without my family, without everything familiar, without friends. I had to make new connections, new friends. I had to acquire new qualification. I remember how difficult it was. And looking at highly educated, qualified Ukrainian people coming here, traumatized and needing to start somewhere, it was just non-brainer for me to start helping. And the third fall is my personal connection to Ukrainian culture and Ukrainian people. My daughter is half Ukrainian, and I understand the language of Ukrainians. They understand me. I identify with their culture, with their traditions, and I see pretty much every Ukrainian here in Winchester and in this country as an extension to my family.
It just seemed the right thing to do for me. And also at the same time, we had the resources and the facilities to be able to help a Ukrainian guest.
I have great empathy for the people of Ukraine who found themselves in a very difficult war-torn situation, and they were innocent people, and their livelihoods and their lives were taken away from them. Also, we have a daughter who lives abroad, and I would like to think that if something similar happened to her, that people would take her in and look after her in the same situation.
We started when the war was first happening, and we heard about all these people looking for somewhere to stay, somewhere for rescue. We both thought at the same time, this is something we can actually do. You feel helpless when you see a war, but in this case we thought we can actually do something useful here. So we did. We just looked at each other and went, yep. So we filled in the government forms and joined the scheme, and nothing happened. Then we heard about the Facebook route, and we put our names up on Facebook saying, hey, if you're looking for a home. And 10 minutes later we had 2 young ladies from Ukraine talking to us, and the same night we had finished all the forms and everything, and then we had to wait quite a long time for them to actually get here, 5 weeks. But after that it was lovely, and they stayed here for 9 months, I think.
They were really lovely.
So I think my motivation for hosting Ukrainians was because I couldn't imagine being in the same circumstances myself and having nowhere else to go. And I remember watching the news in the very early days of the war and seeing families and children on trains trying to escape the bombing and the missiles, carrying a few small bags, being pushed onto trains that were so overcrowded. And I felt that I was in a position to be able to provide that safety net for people who were just leaping into the unknown. We donated money and, we gave to the charities but we just felt as though, what more could we do? We had rooms in our house that were vacant, and we knew that we could use those to help people who needed it. So that was our way of being able to create something positive, I suppose, and to be able to feel as though we were doing something tangible, real, to help people who had no other options.
So 2 reasons motivated me to help out. Firstly, I've been a volunteer at St. Peter's Sanctuary Welcome Hub since May 2022, and I became aware of the need and got to know a number of Ukrainians through that. And secondly, because if I was in the same situation as the Ukrainians, then I would hope that someone would come and help my family in the same way. I became aware of a family who'd been offered a job and accommodation in the Winchester area. And so in June, I put my name forward to sponsor them. They arrived in the UK at the end of June. I hope in some way that we've been able to help this Ukrainian family, and I hope they feel more settled now into the UK way of things.
Hello, my name is Paul and I'm a host, and I have hosted a Ukrainian family along with my wife and my son and my daughter for around 18 months. So I went to Kyiv in November 2021, and it was about 3 months before Russia invaded. And while I was walking around, I bumped into someone who was offering free city tours, who kindly offered to show me around. So I went round with her and a group. I then went back to the UK, and about 3 months later, Russia invaded, and I had the email address of the person who showed me around in Kyiv. And I got in touch and offered that my wife and I would host her and her son if she felt that she wanted to come to the UK. She came over in April 2022, and we did everything that we could to settle them in. We expected that we would host them for about 6 months, and they'd be able to go back to the Ukraine. In the event, we hosted them for 18 months, and it was a really positive experience. Of course, there were strains and stresses, but it was really lovely to share a culture with somebody else who we'd never really met before. We were able to introduce them to our friends and to do things in Winchester and get involved. I would recommend anybody who is thinking of becoming a host, just do it, just jump in. You don't know what's going to happen and what it's going to be like.
We are in Winchester Cathedral, the heart of the city, and I'm honored to talk to one of the canons, Canon Rowley. My first question, how did the decision to support and welcome Ukraine made in Winchester Cathedral?
Well, of course, nobody knew that your country was going to be invaded. And it came as an enormous shock to us all. And I think everything that grew as a result of that invasion was from that shock that a country that belongs to Europe could be invaded and overtaken by such a great force.
Now, today, it is the 592nd day of the invasion, and Winchester Cathedral keeps praying for our country. What motivated you?
We're motivated by a desire to be in solidarity with people who are suffering. And we see on our televisions day by day the amazing suffering and incredible durability of the people. We saw that young girl singing that song from the Disney film in the underground.
Пусть бы шум ничто, холод
The resilience of the people, it touches us. And all we can do really is offer our prayer and support, and that's why we've got this prayer station here. It's a focus for visitors from Ukraine who are staying with us in the United Kingdom. It's a focus for local people who still want to keep their concern alive and the flame of hope alive, to show that we remain together. And we're on a long, seems to be now a long road where no one's certain of what will happen. And in those circumstances, we always want to pray, because God knows. In the end, it's God's business.
As far as I know, praying is the most difficult thing for any parishioner. Is it difficult to keep praying for such a long time, every day remembering the atrocities, suffering and pain from our country?
Yes, well, this is used by many people. The collective experience we have of standing with the people of Ukraine is literally that. It's standing on a Thursday evening at prayer for a minute of silence, and we have a bell, and then there's silence, and then we have a prayer for all the suffering that's going on there. And it's now in our routine, it's in our blood, and we're trying to pace ourselves so that, we are no longer trying to be heroic. We're simply trying to carry on and do what is right, and to be one with the people who have to bear this load, and the people who have to fight, and the people who are losing their lives, and the people who are grieved when their children die.
Can you say a couple of words about the vigil?
The vigil service, yes. Well, that was the first effort we made, not just to do something for ourselves, but to represent the shock and the desire to be engaged with this terrible situation.
The war situation is not getting better.
No.
It is even getting worse and worse. Yes. Are you going to pray for a longer time?
Yes.
Thank you very much for solidarity with Ukraine and Ukrainian people.
Our church community has a strong heart for helping others and sharing what we have. I and others have experience of befriending those who have fled from Syria and Afghanistan. The connections with those supporting people seeking sanctuary gave me the clear message that what was most needed by Ukrainian people was a space to meet together. We have the space, so decided to just open it up and see who came. A team of volunteers come each Saturday to provide refreshments, activities and companionship. And we feel assured that what we offer is appreciated and valuable, both for guests and volunteers.
Yes, about a year ago, I accepted the invitation to start participating on the Saturday fellowship time at the United Church for a time of sharing, a time of compassion and caring. I had a need. The needs was clear in the Ukrainian community to discuss and take a time of peace together. This is now part of my living joy in Winchester.
A sanctuary hub in response to the Ukrainian crisis. So what I did was I got a group of people together, and between us, we set up a sanctuary welcome hub that opens every Wednesday morning and has done for the last year, in specifically meeting the needs of our Ukrainian guests, but also meeting the needs of anybody coming to Winchester from another country seeking sanctuary. The hub is a place of love, warmth and friendship. So it's a place for people to network and enjoy a cup of coffee and some cake, but also it's a place for learning. So what we did is we put on a variety of activities, for example, English conversation classes. We also did some music workshops, art, poetry, and other topics. For example, we got the job centre to come and speak to individuals and help with CV writing. So it's a place of laughter and fun, but also a place to learn. In addition to that, we've done a few other projects. For example, we work quite closely with a horse sanctuary place in Mitchell, Devon, And we, with them, we ran a course to provide support through horse therapy for people who have had psychological trauma, for example, Ukrainians. And that has been incredibly successful.
So the Bible teaches us to love others as ourselves, and we can do this with the love and help that God gives us. Our church have always wanted to make people from other countries feel welcome. It's a huge thing to move country, leave family and friends, and start all over somewhere unfamiliar. So I help with welcome at Hope Church, and a few years ago we noticed an increase in the amount of people from other nations living locally. There's a verse in the Old Testament about treating the foreigner just as we do the native born and loving them as you love yourself. And it seemed in various ways and coincidences that God was speaking to us about how we could do something as a church to show love and support to those from other nations living locally. And we launched All Nations Cafe in October 2021, 2 years ago. So the aim of the cafe is to help people find friends, is to have fun, and also to improve their English language if that's relevant for them.
Spiritual aid is so important in the lives of people all the time, but perhaps in times of crisis we find it more important that we could draw on a strength that is beyond our own and be guided by a power and a wisdom beyond our own, that we could feel a sense that we belong to a world which is finally good and beautiful despite all the suffering, the chaos of the world. I think that's something of what it means to have spiritual aid. And above all, a sense of someone, a power guiding us and protecting us in our lives, so that whatever happens to us, we needn't be afraid, and that we can feel able to give ourselves to one another in love and hope and peace. I think that's what spiritual aid is about.
The concerts that we were planning for St Cross Hospital involved the Ukrainian community in Winchester, who we were very keen to support, for them to show us their culture, for us to appreciate that culture. And so we arranged the first concert in our series to be entirely of Ukrainians resident in Winchester. So they brought about 30 singers and dancers, children and adults, to entertain us. It was a very successful concert. There were 200 people, and we raised £1,500 for Ukrainian good causes. During the series which followed, which was 28 concerts in all, at least 6 concerts featured Ukrainian musicians and dancers alongside some English musicians from the local area, including myself and including a colleague from the hospital.
When our guests arrived from Ukraine, we realized that there are other things that they need. And the council and a lot of the people here came together in WhatsApp groups and other areas trying to find solutions for all the problems that were showing up. One of the big issues was communication. I had been an English teacher for English as a foreign language before, and I'm a university lecturer in the English language. So it was an easy choice to get involved with English teaching until more formal pathways are found. My university also was interested in supporting us and hosted a number of intensive courses and is still hosting my own English classes. I've been teaching for 1.5 years now, online, 3 to 4 times a week. Working together, finding solutions, helping each other, I think is the most important thing that we have.
I've been asked to say what I think is the reason behind, the motivation behind people in the UK being supportive of the people in Ukraine and the crisis that they're suffering with the war with Russia. And I think, first of all, the basic reason is that of human compassion. I think also perhaps the Christian heritage that has been part of this country leads us to try and follow some of the teaching of Jesus to reach out to other people.
I have been involved quite closely with the Ukrainian community here, and the needs are many. It ranges from helping somebody to arrange school admission forms to setting up a bank account, national insurance application, etc., etc. I was put in touch with a friend who was left behind in Kharkiv and who set up a communal kitchen in Kharkiv to help feed with hot meals those who were left behind. So we started with 150 people, and I've collected some donations and found volunteers here who started contributing on a regular basis. So we grew that kitchen and built it up from 150 customers to 350. Other things that I have done was, I suppose, to set up a library of books for the Ukrainian community here. Vladimir Vasilenko is my wonderful Ukrainian guest, and he was the one who became the foundation for many, many fundraising concerts.
Hi there. I wanted to talk about my experience with Ukrainian people and what I've done to support them. I spent 6 years working in Ukraine, so I thought, what can I do to help? And that one of the few things I could offer was that I spoke English as a first language. So I got involved with an English speaking club, and I got involved at an English language school and tried to help have discussions and debates and help with some English lessons. In February 2022, the Russians invaded, and Mariupol was one of the first places to be devastated by the Russian aggression. After approximately a month, I heard from the first person, and it was such a relief to hear that they were alive, not in a good situation, but alive at least. And then I thought, what can I do to help my friends get to safety? This resulted for me in helping several families move to Winchester in the UK and also to Germany. So some people I was able to help quite a lot by actually supporting their move to the UK.
In our video, we have collected precious evidence from hosts and organizations. The answer to the question about motivation might presumably be values, humanitarian and religious values. They guided and encouraged British people to support people in need all over the world, including Ukrainians. And they showed compassion and empathy to people in need. Many countries proclaim the same values, but here in the UK, they have been put into practice across many generations and for many centuries. I can make a difference. It seems to be another motive. The British government responded to the initiative from the local people and created a Ukrainian program. And from this simple idea developed what can be called now a great collaborative effort of the whole nation.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Спасибо. Many, many thanks.
Дякую.
Щиро дякую. Дуже дякую.
Thank you very much.
Our video is our way to express gratitude and sincere appreciation to all people and organizations in and around Winchester. What they have done for Ukrainians is not just a help, it's a heroic deed.